folks, Mike, Kyle, YouCan'tBeSeriously.com. So this is going to be a special episode today, Kyle.
It is?
It is.
It is.
We have an exclusive interview.
We do?
We do.
Oh.
With Eric and Brandon of the Art of Sierra project.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. It's going to be fantastic. This is a dream come true for me. I'm really happy we're all teamed up. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get connected. So
dial up the magic machine there.
Dial it up.
Dial it up.
So, Brandon and Eric, I really appreciate you guys sitting down with us, taking the time to teleconference.
Put Mike's games down.
Put them down.
Put them down. Touch those.
So, the first question, you know, in a list of quite a few of them, what exactly is the Art of Sierra project? Now, I
want to know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I was just saying I want to know, because I don't really know. I know, but I don't know that much.
Oh, well, so what is it? You guys tell us. And I hear, Kyle, I hear it's not just a book. So...
Well, yeah, the Art of Sierra project is definitely much more than a book. And while it is it's definitely a preservation of Sierra's history and the art of Sierra in a physical format, I always wanted to preserve Sierra in an online way. Sort of like an exhibition.
And people have been asking, you know, what kind of material is included in the book. We really consider the Art of Sierra to include everything about Sierra's history. The art of game making, of building a family company, of playing such a pivotal role in the industry. Everything about Sierra and their games is a part of the Art of Sierra. Everyone who worked at Sierra has a story to tell, whether they were an artist or a designer, or a musician or a programmer. Everyone played a role in creating the games and the company that we have such a passion for.
So, Eric and Brandon, how long have you guys been working on the Art of Sierra project?
A long time. Yeah, I mean, I think almost a decade now. I mean, it's 8-9 years. So, you know, and that's a really long time to doing anything, but specifically for, I mean, particularly a book or a project like this, it's been a long time. We've spent a lot of time working on this.
What was your original inspiration? What made you guys want to get together and work on this project?
Oh, I mean, well, for the obvious reasons, the games are beautiful, and, you know, I fell in love with Sierra at a very, very young age. I was introduced to Sierra by my friend Tim Harrison in high school, and I think the moment that I started playing a game on his Amstrad PC, I was just addicted. I mean, I used to buy Sierra games even before I had a computer to play them on. So it's a little strange, and I would, you know, bring those boxes wherever I would go just in hopes that someone would have a computer that I could play them on. I remember bringing King's Quest IV into my computer class at Harvest Park. It was this school I was going to, and they only had the green... I'm going off on a tangent here, but they only had those green Apple computers, those Apple IIs or something, and I had brought my King's Quest IV disc, and I remember, you know, the introduction song playing really loudly in the middle of class, and everyone looked over at my computer, and I was so embarrassed.
How about you, Brandon?
From a young age, I've always been really interested in behind-the-scenes type material. I would go to Star Trek conventions and would take notes on all the behind-the-scenes stuff that the producers would talk about. That people would actually write books about this kind of thing was just incredible to me. So there were all these great books out there illustrating the art and making of films mostly, but nothing substantial was really being published about computer games, which I loved even more than my favorite movies or TV shows. Of course, Sierra especially. So the inspiration behind the Art of Sierra for me has really been wanting to have a book like ILM's The Art of Special Effects, except, of course, it would be The Art of Sierra.
You know, and then the other thing is I'm really fascinated, you know, with this particular project, I realized just how global of a reach Sierra Online had. I mean, the fans that are calling us and contacting us, there's people from Nepal and Japan, and I mean, just really wildly different places. And that's one of the things that has inspired us to continue working on this project, is that this is really, truly a global project. It's not just a book in the US. It's a book for people who are fans all over the world. And it just goes to show that good stories, good adventure games are global, are far-reaching.
So you guys know I'm a huge vintage game collector, love my Sierra stuff. So I have to ask, are you guys collectors also?
You know, even though I'm not actively collecting today, I think that I will always be an obsessive collector at heart. You know, I mean, much like yourself, I was, and if not more so, we had talked about this on the phone, Mike, I went overboard with collecting, if there's really such a thing. I spent so much money on, I mean, I sometimes look at my bank account and wonder where all the money went. Well, I figure, I mean, when you talk about Sierra, I probably sunk, most of my money went into Sierra games. And so in my garage today, I have I call it the Graphic Adventure Vault. So it's just filled with, you know, so many, multiple copies of games. I think I have like, you know, 30 or 40 copies of Loom and, you know, some, you know, 23, you know, I don't know how many copies of Space Quest 3, but I love collecting things, and I love especially Sierra product. There's always that one you want to get your hand on, that perfect box.
So, what is your favorite piece in your collection, or you know, which piece sticks out the most to you?
You know, let's see, my Sierra video catalog from 1989. Sierra produced this really great VHS video catalog, so I have a handful of those that I bought multiple copies of, and in 2008, I got to work with Christy Marks at Gazillion, so she signed our Conquest of Camelot box, and Christy's been an avid supporter of the project from day one, and oh, there's so much stuff. I have signed t-shirts. I have something from the customer service manager. Her name was Sue Kirtley, and she sent me stuff in a box one Christmas. I was really sick in bed, but I was so obsessed with Sierra. I would crank call Sierra and pretend I was Roberta Williams, and there's a whole story there, which we'll get into during the promotion, but she sent me, one Christmas, she sent me several Interaction magazines and a t-shirt and a hat and some other stuff just to shut me up. So, I mean, those are some of my favorite things, but I mean, I have so much stuff, and I'll probably continue to collect over, you know, my lifetime, but it's certainly slowed down.
So, guys, you got to tell me, what is your favorite Sierra title, and why?
If I had to choose one of my favorite Sierra titles, it would be Space Quest 3. And I just love space. I mean, just in general, I love space. I feel like in my next life, I'll probably, you know, live in a Blade Runner-esque world. And there's a whole story behind that as well. But I love Space Quest 3. I love all the Space Quests, but in particular Space Quest 3, because I feel like Space Quest 3 was the perfect example of an adventure game in multiple respects, in every respect. I love the box. I feel the box has a very adventure-y feel. It's beautifully painted, and I love the puzzles. I love the atmosphere. I love the creative juices that went into that game. I think that Mark Crow and Scott Murphy are brilliant designers, and crossing my fingers that one day, hopefully, something from either of them will come to life again and in the adventure game world. I loved the soundtrack by Bob Stievenberg. I thought that was brilliant. And even today, when you played it on an MT32, it you know, surpasses the soundtracks of many games today. I love the little nose glasses that are in some of the boxes, I believe. I don't remember, maybe Brandon knows better than I would, but I don't think every Space Quest 3 box had those, but maybe the first shipment of Space Quest 3 boxes had these, you know, the two guys from Andromeda, the nose glasses. You know, Space Quest 3 just had so many different great ideas, and I think that was sort of the high point in the Space Quest series for myself. And then a close second would be Space Quest 5. I loved King's Quest 5 and Space Quest 5. I love, I'm picking more than one, right? Conquest of Camelot for the box, and the inserts, and just the great design of that game. I think Christy Marks is just a game design goddess with beautiful hair, and
If I had to pick a favorite, it would be King's Quest V. I think that King's Quest V really had the most beautiful VGA art that Sierra ever produced. When you look at a game like Quest for Glory 2, that game was really focused on the desert location with the two cities. Compare that to King's Quest V, where there were so many locations to explore. The mountains, and the dark forest, and the desert. That variety of environments really made exploring King's Quest V so incredible, with new types of locations to continually discover.
We've been following your project extensively, and I did notice some prominent figures contributing to your project. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationships with some of the Sierra staff and maybe some of the other collectors?
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of people who have contributed to the project so far. Everyone who has contributed has just been amazing. The project started when I was working on Ken Williams' Sierra website, sierragamers.com. I'd been thinking about the idea for the Art of Sierra, and Ken wanted to put material up on his website. So he invited me to visit him and to have a look at some of his material. He had really just so much material, and I was only able to look at some of it during that visit. But I also visited Al Lowe for a day. What I remember most about visiting him was while I was busy scanning a lot of his material, he made me iced tea and a really good sandwich for lunch. So it's really thanks to Ken Williams and Al Lowe, who were the first contributors to the project.
Off the top of my head, I'm a big fan of Christy Marks. Her name has come up a few times in this interview, and I just have such a love for her work. I think that she's just a really great, in addition to being a great person, just a brilliant designer. And they're very rare that you run into game designers from Sierra that had much more than just, how can I say this? Just good world building, skills. She really understood the essence and the magic of the history of storytelling, and the most important part of the game, which was integrating great puzzles and overarching puzzles, which I thought was something that was really great in her games. I had a chance to work with Christy back in 2008 on a project at Gazillion Entertainment, working on a world guide with her, and she just a great person from the start. So she contributed really quite a bit to our project, and recently we got a whole bunch of great scans and story information from her for the Camelot games, and or for the Camelot game, and being a collector over the years, over a decade, has allowed me to get in touch with some of my favorite artists and designers, but also people in the community who have collected the artwork. There are a lot of great fans who have been so supportive and who have had a lot more on their minds than just, keeping the artwork to themselves. And they understand that, sharing some of these paintings that have been around, for many years, the fans have snatched up, and there's only one of them. So, there have been a handful of fans that have donated scans to the project and want to get into the book and share their art with the book, and that's really what this is all about. So hats off to those people, for sure.
Besides the artwork, of course, there's also just some really rare stuff out there that you don't see a lot of. Sierra used to write letters to fans, replying to their questions, sending them hints, stuff like that. If you have original correspondence from Sierra or other unique items, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, this is definitely the definitive book on Sierra, for sure. And in addition, as we said, to the art, there really will never be another book like this, because obviously we've spent the amount of time working on this as we have. There's so much love and the depth, the detail, and the beauty that's gone into producing this project. It's really going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. So, and we want everyone who was involved in Sierra, everyone who worked there, whether you were the janitor, if you were the game designer, janitor, whatever, we want to hear your story. And if you're a fan during the Sierra's heyday, we definitely want to hear from you as well. If you have stories to tell, if you have, recently we sent out a call for fan stories and artwork, and we heard maybe, a total response of maybe 20 people. And we know there are so many more people that loved Sierra back then, so we want to get you involved. If you have artwork, if we've gotten in touch with you before and we've lost touch, please do contact us. If you're a designer, whatever, please contact us. This is definitely, we don't want to leave anyone out, so get in touch with us.
What's been your favorite part of working on this Art of Sierra project?
There's so many high points and low points, but do we get to talk about the low points? Because I do want to talk about some of the low points, but some of the great high points and the favorite parts of working on this project. Andy Hoyos, who's now working with Fable Foundry, he's just an amazing artist, in addition to being a wonderful, wonderful person. Just such a great heart, great guy, and having the chance to work with Andy, and someone, again, one of these people who's just so supportive and who has such a giving, generous heart, and who understands the big picture and not, keeping the artwork to himself. Or there's so many people that we've run into that are Sierra fans that want to hide away some of the stuff that will never be seen by the world. And so Andy's just one of these great people who's just so much more than just the artwork. Some of my other high points, Brandon, working with Brandon. Brandon's one of my favorite people that brought me on to work with AGG Interactive. And so working on this project with him has, it's just some people you get along with and some people you don't. And Brandon I get along with. We're opposites, but we really complement each other. Brandon, I couldn't ask for a better producer.